Okay, little glimpses, but it still keeps coming together. So we have lots of layers to go through and lots to cover. Example 8 from Lahore. Okay, now his sun, just like the beautiful, it's Aquarius, but his Aquarius sun is in the 5th house, just moves into the space 6th house, goes over his descendant, and then climbs up. It'll never get up to mid, but going over the descendant and the relationships, the sharing with others and being responsive with others, being able to respond to others, that it's not so much about me, it's about how I'm responding to others, who's come in, who's there, who's responding to it. But the power of the soul comes in on that issue. So at 28, 2 years old, it goes into the Aquarian, has the Pisces inner theme. And at 5, it goes up to Mercury. The sun hit the Mercury, so it's going to be at age 7, the progression. So 6 to 9, starting school was a very powerful time. But it's first the empowerment of the soul to empower the thinking. So probably there was a very special teacher and need to think very clearly at that time. But then it would still go up. It's not 6th, it's 6th house. So the service, work, health, trying to figure things. It's not till it gets to the descendant where it starts getting out of where I started from and out into the world of other people more. So that's 26 degrees, 49 Pisces, 26. So that's 26, 49 and 1 degree. So that's at 29, 30. The change of the world. I'm coming from here, I'm working at this is where I'm coming from, but the energy pulls them out to be of use to other people, to be relating to other people, get the attention of other people. It's building up to that. This is the setting half of the chart. His whole life, the progress sun is on the setting side. It just changes from below the horizon at 30 to above the horizon, to being involved with people a little bit more objectively. But the power, the inner power is moving that direction. So he's going to say, where am I going? Like, it needs to be going this direction, not I'm hiding away, I'm pulling away. That would be going against the nature of how do I get better together? How do I know how to do more? How do I get a better effect? Who am I attracting? Who am I relating to? That focus on the descendant comes up. But in that focus, it is the setting side of the chart. So the sun's coming up, it's on the setting side. So it's really the strong emphasis of who influences me, who impresses me, what impressions do I take, and how important are they? Comes in. Okay, here's sample 9. 1 second. Okay, sample 9 is the sun in Aquarius in the 1st house. It starts with the sun in the confident 1st house. It's the sun that's going to go down through Aquarius, through Pisces, through Aries, and end up in Taurus, which is into her 80s to 90s. Then, but in that process, it's going to conjunct the Mercury, then conjunct the Venus, then conjunct the Moon. Those are the direct aspects of the direct steps that are going to be empowered. It's going to go from the 1st house and then to the 2nd house of resources, values, using talents, being able to use the resources that I have. It's going to, the concern over those 2nd house matters and values will come in. Then it's going to go at 5 degrees. It's going to hit the Moon, 4 degrees. So that's 4 degrees, 30, 59 and 4. So about 63, 62, 63, it starts hitting the Moon, then moves into the 3rd house. And then, so it empowers the family and home. But by then she's finished with family and home, where she wants to live, what she wants to do, the family. It empowers the past, the memories. As the sun comes up, hits the Moon, it empowers the memories. But really, it empowers them so you realize there's more than this. Is that what it's about? That how it is? It's an Aries. I need to do something. So very likely, this Aquarian with the 1st house Aquarian, although having the Capricorn ascendant, will, as she's older, start writing and expressing herself in very strong ways. That's the Aries progressed sun. We see it in the houses and we see it to the planets, but really you have to be aware the soul is inside of this, burning inside of this. So the more spiritual that becomes, the more she'll have to say. And it will eventually get down for her to find her real deepest motivation at about 93, at about 95 when she gets, if she lived that old. The sun in the 1st house, there's a good chance she'll live that old. But all the way through, it's not about status and position. She has Neptune up in the 10th house, who's an authority. people are questionable authority. So getting her depth, finding her depth, moving down deeper into her personal depth, so she finds her inner motivation, her deepest motivation. So the spirituality is more really subjective, increasingly subjective here. When someone's in the 10th house, it's going to become more of a detachment from the outer status. You're there and you're learning to be completely detached from it, to get beyond it and not be pulled by the midheaven. It goes down to the ascendant. When it's in the 4th, 5th, 6th house, it moves over the descendant, navigating through who you're relating to, who you're responding to get better relationships and better reactions. When it's in the 7th, 8th, or 9th, it's trying to build up the career or status, to accomplish things outwardly, and your heart gets fulfilled from that. Okay, example 10. Okay, here's example 10. Here's a Libra, first house sun again. So you know, anyone in Libra, we know it's going to go through Scorpio, Sag, into Capricorn. We know it's, but here it's first house, so it's going to go through second house, third house, fourth. There's the life. So the life, this life is going like the previous one. It's becoming more searching for the soul, is moving more and more depth from dealing with circumstances and resources and values in the first 30 years, 32 years, or 34 years. Then when it shifts into Sag in the third house, it's trying to understand philosophy, teaching, spirituality. It's trying to understand, make sense out of things more and more, and the power is put there, the sun going through that house. And then it hits the IC to really directly motivate the person, 9 degrees. So 9 degrees, there's 69, 73. So it's not there yet, but that's the deepest motivation point. So that's the point you're trying to get your most spiritual, deepest depth. So you finish with a affairs life, you're trying to go deeper. Like that's the time to visit the holy places or go to deeper places, and, or it could be just home and connecting to things. But there's a deep, profound depth in this hitting the IC, where there's a great need for achievement out. So the depth that comes from going within yourself at the IC is different than the depth that will come by living up to your truth and living up to truth out in the world and take a stand out in the world in the midheaven. It's the one that's focused on the ascendant, and it's, you come to finally, after working and being involved with that person, you finally get to do things for yourself in your own way. It builds up your identity, your spiritual identity. And the descendant, it's being aligned so people will respond to your identity and you'll respond to them on the descendant. So this is coming down below. And like on this case, you can still follow use the planet sort and go through it. Really, you're going to use the printout. I just had it here in case we could talk about it so that I could go through this if I need to. But you can see the sequence: Sun, midheaven, ascendant, Pluto, node, then Mercury. So it gets the identifies something, boom, there's a challenge with Pluto. Then there's an intelligence factor coming with it. Then there's a belief system coming in, being charged up. Then there's the values of what I want, what I don't want. Then it's, the understanding evolves. I think it was the next time, like the Uranus, break free. So you can see this pattern coming along. Okay. Okay, everybody's favorite character this year. Donald Trump. And where is his? Okay, I didn't do his sequence. So, but the main point, he starts with his sun in 10th house in Gemini, with Uranus in Gemini. He's going to do his own business. He's going to make his own things happen. His Gemini's up in 10th house, Uranus is up in 10th house. Could have been the astrologer, but he had the Taurus on the midheaven. He built hotels, he built places, he bought properties, he made himself super rich. He did use his family's money and took over the family thing to make it happen. There's the moon opposed Uranus in his natal chart. So you see the natal chart, but the need for authority, he's done his own thing, he's worked for himself, he's done really build up money, he's done it. So his confidence is about his status and position to begin with. And it's a Gemini confidence, very independent way of thinking with Uranus tied into it. So his progressive sun goes along, goes into Cancer, and that was when he was working with the family and stuff. Finally, he gets out of family, has his own thing set up, goes along through there in the 11th house. Who he knows, he met so many people, he knows so many people. I know so many people, Gemini, like talks to so many people, goes along. Then it hits this Mercury and Saturn, and that may have been closely around the time where he had extended too far and he had to cut back financially and stuff, but it was authority and finance. The sun would empower the Saturn, the position, and the emotions, the finances, but also the love. What do I want? And his tendency is to be a little bit more stingy and controlled with the Saturn Venus. But the sun would empower that. Maybe he bought more properties or whatever. But that was, then it went into this 12th house in Leo. This would have been at about 38. Okay. But then he's in the 12th house. He's working in, this is the part of where you, 12th house, you're projecting out, but you don't know what you're projecting out, who you're projecting to. So he knows everybody, he has his friends, but really he's in a place where he doesn't know who's loyal to him, who's not, his conscientiousness begins to be, it's empowered. His conscientiousness is empowered, so he thinks he knows who's around him, who's supporting him. He's been in his own world, he's traveled all around the world, but he's only stayed in his own hotels. So how much he's actually seen of the world is inside his hotels. It's not like he's walked out into woods or forests or places where there's poor people or things like that. So like he lived in his own isolating world. It was he built up his empire and he was the king of his own empire and everybody supported him for being in the empire, but and he built up his conscience around it. So by the time the progressed sun, it comes from that status up to his ascendant and identity. Now this is really interesting because when he went for the election, do I go for it? He probably thought about it. I mean, other people, businessmen, have thought of going up to be there, and he could see the advantage of it. But he started thinking about when the sun is descending, he won the election. Just when his transits, where all the astrologers, the transits were working, he's not going to get in, he's not going to get in, it's not going to happen. But the progression was right on his ascendant, and his confidence in just the end of Leo, just before Virgo. So his confidence, you can, like, Donald Trump has his confidence in his own ideas. He's played it, or he's worked it, or he's built up his own empire. He's done it. Everyone admires it. Now he had the confidence. He made himself president. He became the king, the president, the progressed sun, empowering his identity. And he had the ability to trust and have the confidence in his own ideas, his own thoughts, and put them out there. You have to give him points. He did it against all the odds. But once he got there, the blind spot in this, he was so strong in his own identity and so confident in his own spiritual right of being in his identity, he couldn't see that was in a position of power, that he was thinking very independently, not really socially conscious and not really concerned about other people. Like he's seeing how to make it better for me, make America great again for me, do it my way. But it opposed to traditions and so like you can play this up, but the sun on the ascendant, it was conjunct the star Regulus, it was on the ascendant, had just gone over his Mars. So he had his inner soul was empowering. Well, try something, go for it. Like he would have gone through years with the government's messing with this, people are taxing in this, everyone's messing up. If only they change that. Well, I could change it if I could win it. So for about 4 years, he was probably moving towards trying to be president and setting up his power base. And then hit the ascendant, he did that. So the soul was encouraged that. For him, his soul came in, gave him that energy, he proved that he won. He did it.